Hello everybody and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and today we're going to be playing some Silmarillion Total War. Big news for you, the patch is now out. It is the Fall of Feanor patch. It includes everything that has been teased on the channel up until this point. So, new elephant units, new legendary companies, a brand new faction, that being the House of Fingolfin. There is a lot to enjoy. And in addition to, we're also going to be running a community roleplay campaign. Now, if you guys want to get involved in this, it is open to everybody out there. Let me just give you a few links and stuff here for our Discord. Actually, you can find those down in the description of my video, but I will pop them into the chat in just a few moments here. Just linking the stream in a few different places so we can spread the love as far and wide as possible. And there we go. So I'm going to pop a link to both our ModDB and our community Discord down in the description. Actually, they're already in the description, but I will put it in the chat there as well. If you guys want to participate in the community roleplay, then joining the Discord server is essential, as that is our hub for organization for all of the games that will be played. There's also a custom map there, a little a strategic overview of the entirety of Beleriand that was made very generously by WK. And so if you guys want to get involved in that, the Discord is the one and only place to do it. Hello, Marlon. Thank you for joining us. And you can find our ModDB here as well. Welcome guys, welcome all the new people. So we're going to be playing a 4v4 here to kick the stream off. At least we will be once Rex Gervais stops breaking his internet. Now, while we're waiting, I'm going to go over the House of Fingolfin, which is the new faction being added into the mod. And they've got some new additions from, I think, some of the previous streams that we've done. So we have the Harumatar of Baird Ithel. That is the two-handed equivalent of the Armatar of Baird Ithel, who have been in since the inception. These guys, unlike the Armatar, who are capped at 2, are only capped at 1. But they are, however, very, very powerful units. And they can defeat foes many, many times their superior. Let me just quickly go offline on my Steam here. There we go. And let's get back to the House of Fingolfin. I've also had some detachments added into the roster, so you can bring a half-strength company of the Ferdsmen of Dorloman, that being the low-tier spears from the House of Hador, for half cost. It does help you round out your rosters a little bit and gives the House of Fingolfin a little bit more of a robust set of options in terms of viable builds. Probably the biggest thing, however, is the Arqueni Findicano. They are the legendary company for the House of Fingolfin. They are very, very expensive. Their ammo is absolutely devastating. It hits so hard, but they are extremely squishy, and they are very, very expensive in addition to. So if you want to take them, you will be sacrificing quite a lot of your resources for a unit that doesn't have a ton of staying power. If lower tier units manage to get their lower tier archers in particular manage to sink their claws into them, then they can kill them off very quickly. A decent melee cavalry unit will also kill them off fairly quickly. They're not bad in close quarters. They're decent at fighting horsemen. They're not great against wargs, however, so wargs can counter them quite hard. But the big draw is, of course, the armor-piercing missiles that they have. So let's work on getting our composition straight here. We'll probably go with something fairly standard. This combined front line here, it's tried and true. And let's take a look a little bit at what opponents will be facing down today. So against the House of Fingolfin, having some armor piercing will actually be very, very nice for us. Against the other two units, our pike and sword and board unit front line is more than enough to hold in the center. Now, it's really going to come down to how well we're able to do on the wings. So I think in this case, we're going to go hard with some two-handed swordsmen. So we've got our anvil here, and then the hammer will be our two-handed units that we're going to bring with us. It's going to be important, I think, to have some Arimo Arantad. They're a very good General's Bodyguard unit, and sticking them in the middle of our formation is going to give 4 morale in the 30-meter radius to all nearby units, which is the big draw for them. Let us also bring... Let's see here. House of Feanor is the only one here with any significant skirmishing power. So as long as we're not coming up against them directly, and we certainly have a choice as there's an FFA, and then we should be okay running a little bit light on our long-range missile units. We've got a little bit of money left. So we could bring a decent chunk of cavalry. We'll go with the Sons of Húrin in this case. No, we're definitely going to go with the Arantar. It's going to help us save us a little bit of money. We got our 2 Ferdsman units there. We'll beef these guys out with attack. Now, they're quite cheap to chevron as they are very inexpensive. So if we were to take away, say, 1 attack from them, we would be able to field maybe we do this instead. These guys already have pretty good attack. We'll shift it around that way. Give them an attack upgrade as well. And there we are. We are good to go. For some reason it says that I'm not ready. Maybe that'll work. That should be good to go. Sorry, the question, which are the actual factions? I don't have a lot of time to follow the mod, and could someone tell me in this chat, as I assume JMonsters explain this very often. There's going to be 12 factions that are confirmed, possibly a 13th. Currently, the factions in the game are the House of Feanor, Fingolfin, Fingolfin. We've also got Doriath, the Green Elves of Silmarillion, and in addition to, we've got Easterlings, the Orcs of Tullin Gaurath, Angband, of course, because we need our big bad, and the Thalothrim. So we have 9 factions available currently. And a liberal spread of both Noldor, Sindar, Human, and Orc as well. Will there be a campaign on this mod eventually? Yes, Greg Bugatti has it right there. There will be a campaign eventually. That's going to be our big focus moving into the next patch, along with getting Gondolin ready. Gondolin is very, very close to a testable state. But we will be taking a little bit of a break, and so expect development to resume around mid-October. There's no Gondolin available currently, but there will be Gondolin eventually. They are pretty well finished. Hello, Manus. Welcome to the stream. They're pretty well finished. There's just some more tweaks and stuff that need to be made. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 units that are currently missing. But all of the houses except for the House of the Mole will be represented. And some of them, like the House of the Golden Flower, will be represented twice. guess we will have to rehost, because unfortunately one of our players has lagged out and broke the lobby. So, let's do... I've done Non-Tothran, Dordinen, I think we've done before. Yeah, one of the new kind of features of the mod is that we've actually organized our maps a little bit better, so because we have so many maps, it's easier to know exactly what map to pick to tailor to the experience that you want to have. So we're going to do the Plains of Tumhalad. Actually, we're going to do Non-Tothran. It's a little bit more interesting. There we go, and we're ready. Why no House of the Mole? The only time that we've got the House of the Mole, is, at least to my understanding, in canon fighting, is when they're fighting against the Gondolin during the fall of Gondolin. So I decided to add them rather as a campaign unit for Angband, since that makes more sense with the story anyways. So yeah, they will be in the game, they just won't be available for Gondolin. Do I know when the next update will be? Manus, I have great news for you. The next update is right now. It is available immediately. If you mean the update that will add Gondolin and some other things into the mix, then I have no idea. This patch took us about 6 to 7 months to complete, and that's not an approximate timeline for any other subsequent patches. That's just how long it took us to do this. Just to give you an idea of the amount of work that goes into it. Did I work on Reforged as well? I do some stuff for Reforged. They are gearing up for possibly some big sweeping changes, and I have been participating in that in a limited way at the moment. But yeah, I'm still interested in working on stuff for Reforged. It's just a matter of what they need me to do. So yeah, kind of. Yes, the answer is yes. I work on both. Can't wait for the House of the Hammer of Wrath. Neither can I. Skyly did a fantastic job on them. If you guys are curious about what they look like, we've actually posted a little Gondolin preview with the houses of the Swallow Tree and Hammer of Wrath on our ModDB, and the Hammer of Wrath has been posted aforetime as well. Not related to Silmarillion, but can anyone tell me how to beat camping Loth in 1v1 Reforged? I probably couldn't tell you how to do that. Nope. Can we expect those Manish units in custom battle for Angband as well? Probably not, Greg. Our custom battle and multiplayer rosters are a different experience than what you're going to get in campaign. Everything in custom battle and multiplayer is very tightly kind of put together in order to give everyone a play style and a flavor that makes the multiplayer competitive and interesting, and all the factions diverse when you play them against your friends. In campaign, we're willing to be way more flexible with that, so you will be able to kind of expand outside of your base roster to allow you to just do different things, because you don't want to be playing with the same 10 to 15 units for the whole campaign. My ideal would be that every campaign for every faction, you're going to have your base roster of about 12 to 15 on average, excluding artillery and stuff like that, and then you'll have another 15 or so, maybe even more than that, in terms of mercenaries that you can recruit and use in your campaign. So there's going to be a lot more units that are available to you in campaign, and that's just because campaign's more of an open-ended beast, and you're not really playing that against other people. Whereas for multiplayer, it's more important to have factions be focused and to have strengths and weaknesses, whereas you can fudge that a bit in a campaign. It may be that Rex breaking our lobby means that I have to do this. So if you run into a problem where someone breaks your lobbies and you're not able to get anybody else to host or to join the games that you host, then just briefly leave the multiplayer lobby and then come back again. And let's do Non-Tothran. I think that's what we had before. Go. Let's see if we have any other campaign or mod-related questions. Who is the original developer for Third Age Total War Vanilla? There is a group of them, and the leader of that team was King Kong, and I believe he actually works in the gaming industry now, which is why we haven't seen him for a while. He used Third Age Total War as like a portfolio building sort of exercise. I assume in campaign Angband will have some major buffs. Angband's pretty strong as they are, but there will be more diversity in terms of what they can bring. So they'll be able to bring some mercenaries to augment the formidable roster that Angband already has available to them with all the elephants and the other scary things. But there's not really like campaign specific buffs that we can give to Angband. At least not to my knowledge. Nothing that I can't like give Angband units 6 damage in multiplayer and 10 damage in single. But they're pretty strong as it is anyway. There we go. We got Steward of Dale here. We can get our free-for-all up and running in just a few minutes. Let's see if we have any other questions related to the mod. If you guys want to know about Gondolin, I'm an open book. I've got my finger on the pulse of basically all things Gondolin, so if you guys have questions about their implementation, what houses will be represented, and which ones have been previewed, and which ones are still to come, then by all means, ask away. Can I talk about the planned custom generals in the campaign, if there is something planned? I don't think we have currently any custom generals planned aside from the generals that we have in game, and we'll continue to add onto that as time goes on. So currently Fingolfin, for example, is his own general, and you will see him as what we'll probably do is move him to an officer position within the Ailimo Arantar, as that is his kind of personal bodyguard, and then you'll see him represented, but you also won't have every army with a Fingolfin. But you will see things like heroes in the game, and they will have some special animation sets in particular that make them unstunnable. So they are a lot stronger than your average grunt unit, and they'll be able to get a lot more done, especially since their stats are enhanced templates that are based off of the unit that they're in. So the Ailimo Arantar general with Fingolfin is going to have like 5 or 6 HP, and it's going to hit harder, and it won't be able to be stunned. So Fingolfin will be represented, and he'll be formidable as an individual, but I'm not sure if that was exactly the question you were asking. Will all houses get a representative unit? Yes, they absolutely will. Every single house but the House of the Mole, who will be a mercenary for Angband, will be represented in the Gondolin faction, and some of them will be represented twice. And that may expand a little bit more as we add legendary companies and things like that. So the House of the Golden Flower has a cavalry unit. I know cavalry. Salgant is the only elf in Gondolin who rides a horse. Well, we're fudging that a little bit. Just for the sake of diversity in the roster and helping Gondolin kind of have a generalist playstyle where you have a lot of very powerful but expensive specialist units that you augment with some mid-tiers. So the Golden Flower will be represented twice, once as a cavalry unit and once as an infantry unit that has a focus on fighting large monsters. And that's sort of a nod and a wink to Glorfindel fighting the Balrog in the passive Cristhorn. It's definitely the first age, Manus. This is definitely taking place during the first age of Middle-earth, during the events of the Silmarillion, hence the name Silmarillion Total War. Alrighty. What does Angband turn into in the ages? Nothing. The area that the Silmarillion takes place in, known as Baleriand, is actually sunk beneath the ocean, with the destruction of Beleriand. So it takes place. Wow, I'm struggling with my words here. There is a great cataclysm at the end of the First Age called the War of Wrath, where essentially the gods go to war for the fate of Middle-earth against one of their fallen brothers, that being Morgoth, who you can think of as kind of Big Daddy Sauron. And during the course of this conflict, most of the area of Beleriand is sunk beneath the waves, all the way up to the Blue Mountains. So little bits and pieces of it still remain. There is an island just off the coast of Lindon, that the name I can't remember, that was part of the area formerly known as Beleriand, but for the most part it is sunk beneath the waves. So Angband basically becomes an underwater ruin. I think we just need one more person here. So actually this is a public lobby, so the patch is available to everybody. But if you guys wanted to come and join us, absolutely, this is open to you. So we're on the same patch, the public build that everyone else is playing. This is no longer the test build, so if you guys want to come and jump into a lobby with us, please feel free. What will Gondolin be good at? Gondolin will be good at a lot of different things. They will have sort of a plethora of very powerful specialist units that will all have, you know, their own little sets of strengths and weaknesses. But one of the big things that kind of keeps that in check and stops them from becoming like an utter powerhouse is that there's like a specialist trait, basically, that's assigned to them for the purposes of doing their prices. So all of your specialist units will be more expensive. Now, to offset that and to not railroad Gondolin with really high prices, there is a subset of mid-tier units. So all the specialists are high tier, but the mid-tier units are just regular price, and they cover sort of basic bases. So you have the House of the Swallow, who are a spearman /bow hybrid. You've got the House of the Tree, who are another mid-tier unit that are a slinger /mace unit. And then you've got the House of the Harp, who are just your standard kind of mid-tier heavy sword and board unit. And then everything else beyond that, you go into two-handed swords, heavy lancers, and other such things, and they're going to be more expensive. So the big kind of challenge to playing Gondolin is tailoring your build specifically to what it is that you need to fight and accomplishing that mission objective, which can be a little bit of a challenge, especially if you find yourself up against an opponent who's going to like hard reposition to the rest of their allies. Then you're going to be facing units that you're not necessarily, you know, equipped to take on, so you're going to have to rely on your allies in a little bit more that way. But I think that they'll be a pretty decent like 1v1 dueling faction, and you'll also find them as quite useful in team battles, since you're able to kind of fulfill a number of different roles and then build a strategy around them. What country do I live in? I live in Canada. That's correct. Will Glorfindel be a general in the campaign? Absolutely, and he will have his own bodyguard of Lords of the Golden Flower. Alright, so we're just needing one more person here, and it looks like we got him. Fantastic. And this is someone I'm actually not familiar with, so welcome, Lore Ironhammer. I don't know if you're on the stream right now, but welcome to the match. And it's good to see some new faces in here as well. I was really excited to get this public patch out here. I wanted to do it a little bit earlier, hopefully before... My hope was before the end of summer, but now people are going back to school and we've got it out and available. But yeah, I wanted to have it out a little bit earlier, but it'd be like that sometimes. So we'll be waiting a little bit here for Lore Ironhammer to get his army together. And it's pretty similar. Actually, it's the exact same makeup that we had in our original lobby. So we've got a Fingolfin player here as well. What the hell, people? You don't give cavalry to Fingolfin, but you give one to Gondolin. Not all factions are the same. And because the House of Fingolfin has so many anti-cavalry units, and because I wanted their specialization to be a little bit more defensively oriented, that became kind of just the way that it is. So, no, unfortunately, House of Fingolfin won't be getting any cavalry. Also, they lived in a tiny cave, and it's not a super amazing place to raise horses. How many factions will be in the Silmarillion total? 12 for now. The additional planned factions, other than the ones that I stated earlier, those being the Noldor royal houses of Feanor, Fingolfin, Fingolfin, as well as the Sindar, those being Doriath and the Philothrim. We've also got the Easterlings, and we've got both tribes of the Easterlings represented as sub-factions within a greater Easterlings kind of set. We've also got the Orcs of Tolden Gauderhoth and Angband. I think I might be missing one. Oh yeah, the Green Elves of Assyrian as well. They're present in the mod. So aside from those 9 factions there, currently planned are the Haladin, so another human faction, Gondolin, an elven faction, and then the Dwarves. So we will have the Dwarves represented in the mod as well, representing all of the races that made up the patchwork that was Balerion, the sort of cosmopolitan mess that was the old world of Middle-earth. But there may be a 13th faction, but that is subject to change. Whether or not that 13th faction, I really want them to be available in multiplayer in particular, but I don't want them to be available in campaign. But I won't say anything more about them for now, just because I'm not 100% sure what they will be used for. Let's see here. Who do you want to take on? I feel like I could fairly comfortably take on the Orcs of Tolden Gauderhoth. I've got the troops and the composition to really be a thorn in their side. Let's see here. We'll have the Irimo Adanton in behind them. We'll keep our general as safe as possible. And I'll give you a good look. Oh no. Hopefully he's not having too much trouble there. Do the Towers of Elastirion exist in the first age as well? Nah, I just like them, and they're elven towers. And they kind of frame the map quite nicely. It's unfortunate. I'm glad at least that you understand where I'm coming from, Realmec. It's a design decision, and that was the call that I made, and I'm sticking by it. I haven't decided if we'll call them the Dwarves or the Naugrim. I'm leaning towards the Naugrim. We're going to have a little bit of a laggy game, but that's alright. I'm a little bit rusty, and my micro is not going to be super on point, so quite frankly, having the extra lag might actually be a blessing in disguise. This gives you that like buffer zone to help help you not divide your attention too thinly and leave units idle for long periods of time. Go. Keep these guys a little bit more centrally located and back and away from enemy missile fire. Alright, let's do this thing. In Reforged, what's my favorite faction? And in Silmarillion, Reforged, I kind of like Darwinian. I think the Darwinian has like the clearest focus, I guess, out of a lot of Reforged factions, and yeah, I just really enjoy them. And they're one of the few factions, I believe, that still lacks rangers, which is a nice thing to see. My favorite faction, Silmarillion, I don't know. I like them all for various and different reasons. What do we got here? Got any mangonels? Steward of Dale, he's got some cav there. Well, let's do this thing. Oop. Oh, that's very odd. Oh, let's take our cav out of there. There we go. Have these guys move forward. Put these guys into guard mode. We'll break them out of there. And they can go here and plink away. And our cavalry, you can move up slightly this direction. And I think he's got some heavily armored units over here that I can pick on. So this is where my Arqueni Fingolfin need to be as well. And then over on this side, we'll have these guys go and deal with the Hishpokra's Warband. You lot can deal with the Wolf Guard. I'll pull you guys back. And we'll pick away at some of these Howler units. Have these guys head over this direction. These lot can go here. Adimo Adantad are where they need to be currently. We'll have them pick on all this infantry over here. That's probably a good thing for now. Have these guys just harass the Thrangshik Wolfborn for all that they're worth. Herdsmen can come back this direction and support them. The Herumu, or whatever the hell they're called, Herumatar, will do well in that situation. We should be okay here. This, I think, will be a pretty sound victory for us. Continue to pick on those Thrangshik. We definitely don't want them to get anywhere near our Arqueni because they will eat them alive. We do want to continue to pick on them if possible. Trappers there. Could probably take some shots at them. Might be able to catch those trappers out a little bit. I think they're probably going after my bodyguard. Yes, indeed they are. They're doing what they need to do. Adimo Adantad can come over this direction. Have these guys retreat. Hopefully they do so in time. All that extra lag. What are these guys doing? So far, so good. They've basically wiped those guys out. Looks like some of my cav elsewhere is breaking. Managed to take a nice bite out of them for the time being, at least. Adimo Adantad facing down a charge from Thrangshik Wolfborn. That's alright. Sentries here will make quick work of these guys. Send the rest of that front line forward. We're holding on. Activate the rest of these guys. Actually, maybe bringing them over this way would be not a terrible idea. Let's go for a rear charge here. Let's maybe head over this way. We're having some troubles here. Got some Wolf Guard there. Should be an easy mark. Have them charge down those Gijak Skadas. We might be able to pull this back from the brink. Yeah, those hunters there are no threat to us. Move these guys over here.
The enemy are badly bloodied. They have lost half their men.
Pull these guys back again. Bring the Arquini through here. Oh, we got some Vor back. Now that's bad news. Should be able to run these guys down quickly. Findicano. Let's bring them through here. These guys get stuck on the Bladesman. Idimo Adanta coming over this way. Blood Drinker's getting beat down. See if we can catch the Vor back.
We've lost half of our men.
Hit those Wolf Guard from behind. Should be able to pull this back here. Arquini doing just fine here, cutting down those trappers like it's nothing. That's good. Set these trappers from behind, try and free up some space here. That should be good. Hopefully we can kill off the Warback Gazutar here quickly. That'll free up some of our cav. Pull these guys out of there now. Good fight so far, though. I thought it was going to be a little bit more in our favor than it was. So excellent work there to Steward of Dale. Pull these guys back here. Pull all of our cav back. Turn these guys around. See if we can't finish these guys off over here now, too. That should basically be it for Steward of Dale. Let's see how the other fight over here is going. Looks like it's only just started. So we need to make sure that we come out of this as healthy as possible. War back in here, stuck on our pikemen. Go. That'll be it for the Vorback. I don't think he's got too much left here.
tidings. The enemy general lies dead.
There goes his general. That should be it. It says victory is certain for these guys. Oh, there goes one of our Quinifindicano. But let's go ahead and turn down our sound just a little bit here. Hopefully it's not too loud for people. Steward of Dale has been defeated here. Now let's assemble our forces, what remains of them. A decent number of pikes still remaining. We'll reform our center line. That's everything that we got left. We have a decent number left in our Irimo Arantor. Our cavalry can come out here, like so. Everyone can run. That was a bloody battle, though. For sure, for sure. Break these guys off here and go after these Hispocraus hunters before they can deal any more damage to us. Bladesmen should make quick work of them. There we go. Does he have anything else remaining that he's going to throw at us? Bringing out those Vorback really was a nice move on the part of Steward of Dale. I didn't expect to see them, and I probably should have, because they're such a good unit, especially against the House of Fingolfin. And my limited cavalry lineup. But yeah, that was bloodier than I expected it to be. I expected that to be a little bit of a blowout, but I was definitely proven wrong there by Steward of Dale. Captain Gervais has some of his units here facing off against the Elves of Osiriand. We have a newer player here who are playing as the Elves of Osiriand, and it appears that they're actually not doing too terribly. Now, I guess, is the time to begin to move forward here.
Good tidings. The enemy general lies dead.
Let's move forward with everything else that we got. Hopefully, by the time we get there, they will have ground each other down sufficiently that we'll be able to just kind of walk through them. But I think that Doriath is going to come out on top here. They do seem well poised, and I don't think there's too much left that the Elves of Osirian can use to
only half the enemy force remains.
To deal significant damage. Yeah, Doriath is definitely winning. They still got some Ents hanging about. Definitely doing a smart play by retreating from those two-headed axemen. It's not just because they're trees. Honestly, elephant units can really struggle against armor-piercing two-handed units. They all have bonuses against elephants. I don't think we're going to be able to finish off Doriath with what they have left. We do have some cav, which is nice. But I think they have a good deal of their skirmishers still remaining. And these guys look like they're beginning to rout off. Or he's retreating them, one of the two. Yeah, the Green Elves are doing their best. But I don't think there's too much left for them here in this fight. We are going to have some Ents still in play. So maybe they'll have a chance to influence who ends up winning this battle. But I think this is going to go to Doriath based on what's still remaining here. They far, far outnumber me. At the very least, I think their legendary company is out of ammunition, so that's something nice for me. The big thing is going to be my pikes and stopping myself from getting swamped. Is it possible to switch a bodyguard during the campaign through a script or something? I believe that there does exist a bodyguard switcher. I know that it works for 3rd Age Total War, like the base 3.2, but it probably could be adapted to work for Silmarillion Total War as well. And that would be the kind of thing that might be fun for Turin, for example, as he has quite the journey through the first age, and he's going to be part of many different factions. So that is something that could be looked into in the future, yeah. What's new for Fingolfin? Well, Fingolfin has a legendary company. You can see them here. Although they are admittedly in a little bit of a sad state. They're an armor-piercing horse archer. They're specialized for fighting against horsemen, so they're kind of like melee cavalry, but they're not really good against wargs. And so we were fighting against Tolin Gaudhoth. We had some troubles with their wargs, and their wargs managed to eat many of our horsemen. Other than that, they have a new two-handed detachment unit, so much like the Armatar of Baird Ithel, the Herumatar are a detachment of an existing unit, that being the Blade Masters of Baird Ithel in this case. And they're sort of like a souped-up version of them, but there's less of them. And they don't cost as much. I think the best thing we'll be able to do... Oh, looks like he's managed to retreat some of his troops here. Yeah, that's a big old blob of troops. So I think the best thing we're going to be able to do here is try and take a spot up here on one of the hills, maybe. Now, our pikemen are our big bonus here. They're the one leg up I have over Doriath in this particular instance. And they do take penalties when fighting in the woods. So we're going to have to position them such that they're not in the woods, but everything else that's important is. And yeah, it's going to be a tough one. So he has Ents, I believe. And he's got maybe a small band here of skirmishers of Rathloria who look like they're out of ammunition. Yeah, there are some Ents over here as well. Yeah, that's going to be a really tough fight for us. That's quite a lot of Doriathran elves left. But we'll see. Maybe the Noldor Moxie will win out over the Sindar numerical superiority. And we're going to have to try and get up there and take that hill if we can. What we should do is try and finish these guys off. Or maybe that's not a smart way to use our cavalry. Yeah, we should use them for something a little bit more decisive. Don't know who's going to get there first. Probably Rex will. He's got the numbers to swarm the hill, too, which is why this is a desperation plea more than anything. Now, are there a couple little Throngshik warlords left somewhere? That would certainly be very funny if Steward of Dale managed to pull out a victory here just by being the last person alive. With a handful of units, we'll see. Tyrion Lysdanen. That's the legendary company there from Doriath. They're big and scary, and it looks like Rex is going to go into the woods here and try and suss out the green elves. But in the meantime, why don't we take a look here at chat and see if I've missed anything. No, it doesn't look like there's been too much in the last few minutes. Let's see how we're doing here. Winded. Most of our guys are tired. What does he have left? He's got a few Lancers. That's the wrong person. I think what we need to do here is lengthen the line.
Something changes in the course of battle, for defeat seems almost certain.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way for us to win this. There's just too many of them left over here. Just too flippin' many. The Green Elves just weren't able to do the damage. And the Green Elves are a little bit slow here in returning to us as well. So I don't think this is going to be a victory. But it was still a damn fun game.
Pray something changes in the course of battle, for defeat seems almost certain.
That was a little bit of an anemic charge there. Nice little charge there. Most of our guys are routing. That's to be expected. The Doriath forces just had too much of their really, really powerful, hard-hitting units left. We didn't have the necessary tools to stop them. And he had the numbers as well to completely envelop us. And there were some coordination issues, I think, as well with the Green Elves. I think maybe if the Ents were used a bit more aggressively to kind of hold up some of his stuff, we might have been able to avoid an encirclement, but it's hard to pull off that kind of coordination when you don't have voice chat. So, really good game here. And that'll pretty well do for me, I think. High King Fingolfin is still in the fray. He's still fighting in here somewhere. Ah, there he is. The Ents are still kind of kicking people to death. His bodyguard is beginning to lose hope, though. Ooh, poor lad just got knocked over. Yeah, it's just a big old blob of Doriath here that can't really be stopped by the Ents alone, unfortunately. And there goes the rest of my troops. It's my cue to admit defeat. Yeah, that's pretty well not a winnable fight from the get-go for us, given what we had remaining. Steward of Dale took a much larger bite out of us than what I had initially anticipated. And so, defeat is ours on this day. Yeah, we'll just let these Ents do what they do best. Kick to death many of these Doriath elves, and they're going to begin to fall, however, due to the large number of two-handed armor-piercing units that are in the fray currently. Yeah, they're tough customers, but they're not that tough. And there goes another one of their number. Ah, there they go. Knocking some of them over, killing some of them. That's a sort of death blow. Now it's just the one here left, and he's determined to crush that one spearman in particular. Slowly turn around here. Big ponderous bulk being hacked at from all sides. And down they go. And there we go. Fortunately, my Sentries of Hithlum just kind of got eaten. Eaten very quickly by the Doriathrin, but still managed to kill off a good deal of them. Come out of this with the highest kills in the game, which, you know, is to be expected when we're fighting the Orcs of Dolin Gaudhoth. They do tend to appear in quite large numbers. Casualties inflicted. Nice work there from our cavalry wing. Our Blade Masters of Baird Ithel all did very well. In addition, we managed to choose their engagements quite well, I think. Sentries did alright. They're just sort of a supporting unit anyway. Adimo Adentar got a few kills, but they're mostly here as a support unit in any case. So, that was a fun game. Let's do another. I have at least one more game in me before I have to shut down the stream for the day. So, I am going to open it up to anybody out there who wants to come and play with us. The files can all be found in our ModDB. I will send you links for that right now. And there you have it. If you guys want to come and join us in this lobby, please feel free. Scroll the gang, thank you very much, Pasternak. That's very much appreciated. It was a lot of work that was undergone to get us to this point, about 6 and maybe 7 or so months. So I really do appreciate that sentiment. Thank you so much. But let's see here. Why don't we just do a regular old field battle? Hoodwin's Homestead is one of the new maps. So why don't we experiment with that one a little bit? Who do we want to play as today? I'm not a really good cavalry player. So we might give the Sons of Feanor a pass today. But who is new and interesting? The Philothrum do have some new additions to their roster, so why don't we play a little bit with the Macemen today. May change that depending on the composition of our opponents, but we'll see. But while we're waiting for people to hop into our lobby, I do have some more time for questions about the mod, about the balance, or if you just want to talk about stuff. Let's see if I've missed anything here. What are the chances that we would get a third Orcish faction, even if it is just the campaign units from the existing ones? Not a big fan of huge starting factions in campaign. I don't think the chances are super high unless like inspiration strikes me or I come across a passage somewhere that I can like build off of in order to make a faction. The Orcs of Tolan Gauderhoth are already a bit of a stretch. I had to make up their entire roster and a lot of the corresponding lore whole cloth. And Angband was the big, bad, dominating evil force, and they were mostly contained to the north of Middle-earth. So currently, the chances aren't super high, but, you know, who's to say what happens in the future? If someone can come forward with, like, a passage or some interesting background that I can base it on, then I would be interested in exploring a third Orcish faction, but for the time being, we've basically hit all of the notes that you can in terms of the Orcs. It's really amazing how much stuff you made and also that you managed to balance it out quite nicely. I really do appreciate that, Realmec. Balance is something that I am personally really interested in, and I want to even break into game design as a field at some point, and like level design, narrative design, and things like that are all subjects that really interest me, and multiplayer balance is one of them. So it really does like hit me in the good places when people are like, yes, this seems really balanced and fun. So I do appreciate that. What are the strengths of the elves of the Falas? Well, we've got a handy little blurb here that does kind of go into that. Let me just assign the proper amount of money to the new players who are here. So we have a nice little blurb here. So the Falas have really fast light infantry units. They are supplemented by some really strong Noldor infantry, which are a little bit more expensive and therefore less cost efficient, but they are extremely powerful in a lot of different ways. They've got amazing morale buffing capabilities, the best in the game by far. They're a little bit limited with their armor piercing units. They've only got a couple. So one of the new ones here is the Seafarers of Bethombar. They're a mace unit, and the other is a javelin unit. And those being the Marines of Eglarest, who are right there. They have a lot of numbers. They're very mid-tier heavy. Their mid-tier caps are very sizable as well, so you can bring a large number of your mid-tier infantry, especially from the Bethombar tier. So you can almost counter-swarm people with numbers. One of the other big powerful things they have is the Noldor infantry, as I mentioned. Nobles of Baelar in particular, when you fully upgrade them and you invest in this unit, it is a solid front line that if you leave it in combat, it will get a huge amount of kills for you. Another such Noldor unit are the Adrankyr Lim. They don't have an armor upgrade, but they have really good armor values, fantastic shield values. They're just an all-around very powerful unit that also buff morale of friendly units by a significant amount. So I'd say that their main strengths are their light infantry. the numbers that they can bring, and some of the like mid-range missile fighting that they can do very, very well. So the Marksmen of Balar all have a 6 damage missile, very useful against unshielded units, against light armor units, or with low shield value. And then, of course, they've got the Marines of Eglarest as well that they can supplement that with. And then, to top it all off, they've got some really good missile units as well. So their biggest strengths are their spears, their light infantry, their speed, their morale, and their high numbers, I would say. Just to sum that up. Alright, let's fix the money here. Are we planning on having Glaurung as a custom dragon model? I would honestly love to have Glaurung as an officer in the Udorloki. It's possible that that will make its way into the mod. If we do that, we do want to do it well. Currently, we're just using the Hydras for our Udorloki that have been borrowed over from Botet. If we do Glaurung, I would want to have Glaurung have his own like custom model, and then I would also want to use that for the Udorloki. So it's possible, but it may take some time to implement. Dagger Silmarillion had an evil faction whose leader was Glaurung. Not really lore friendly though. Yeah, and if we're gonna have an evil faction whose leader is Glaurung, I guess maybe it could be based out of Nargothrond post-sack. But that would also, I don't know, there's some weirdness of that, and then I don't know, that could be a basis. I'm not discounting that entirely, but I don't know. That does cause some weirdness with the timeline, since our mod technically takes place post Dagor Bragollach, so House of Feanor and Nargothrond in particular are still a thing. But yeah, who knows? Maybe. A Glaurung army would have to be largely the same units as Angband, with maybe a few unique. See, that would be a problem for me, because then it's just an Angband reskin, right? It's not its own unique faction, and it's not like, I guess, unique and diverse in the way that the other factions are. So I probably wouldn't do that if that's the implementation that we would go with. If Glaurung becomes his own faction, I kind of doubt at the moment that he will. It would have to be something very, very different from the other two Orcish factions. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother. Let's see here. We're going to be fighting against Angband, so it'll probably be necessary to build our core army around these units here. Could use a couple of rangers to help us out against the crossbowmen. They've got 5 missile damage to the 6 armor of the crossbow, so they'll be able to do at least a decent amount of damage to them. Foresters will be really important additions to our army because they're anti-elephant, and Angband has a lot of elephant and large units. Mariners of Arendelle do sort of the same thing, and they function as like a discount bodyguard. Do a couple of Arankirlim as well, some Seafarers to deal with that high armor. Gotta bring a whole bunch of them. Marines of Eglarest, Warriors of Eglarest are important. Let's see, what does that leave us? We'll definitely need some spear host to support the foresters on the back line. And that altogether is a decent little army here. So everything that needs damage has damage, I suppose, with the exception of our Arankir Limb. So we'll boost them up a little bit as they are super reliable. What else can we buff here? If we're gonna give it to anybody, we'll give it to these guys. Perfect. Alrighty. That should be enough for them. So we need one more player. Let me see if I can pull one other person in. Hey JmonsterTW, how was your birthday the other day? It was fantastic, thank you for asking. I went and spent the day with my family, had lots of cake, hung out, and then I went, this weekend I went surfing for 3 or 4 days as part of my, like, birthday celebration. So that was, yeah, can't complain. Might be able to pull in one other person from our testers. Let's see. We have the Yoda guy. Perfect. So we have our 3 people per team. Let's get this done. Let's see. Are we still facing off against Angband? Indeed we are. Although we could alter this a little bit. Bring that back one. I have to give up a lot of damage across my army if I wanted to get myself a cavalry unit, but I do really want one. So maybe... Oh, we're still 5 off. That's painful. Maybe it won't matter too much. The reason I was thinking about investing in some cavalry is because they can be very useful at tying down and even outright defeating elephant units, as the spacing on a cavalry unit negates the area of effect damage that the elephants have to a fairly significant degree. So, and they also do have some bonuses against elephants, so they can actually be a worthwhile thing to, like, mob down a unit. Even if you don't want to stay in combat forever, you can quite easily stay on top of a lot of the elephants and deal damage to them and be a big threat with even 1 unit of cavalry, so something to consider. I'm pretty sure a faction with spiders and goblins could be an idea. That would be really stretching it, as the spiders were largely confined to Nandon Gortheb. And Ungoliant actually either disappears or eats herself to death. One of the two. So it'd be hard for me to justify spiders as, like, an independent army, and also there weren't really any goblins that lived in the area that the spiders lived in, so that would be a really, really big stretch. I do try to stay to the story as much as I can. There are certain exceptions to that, like horses and Gondolin. But by and large, big things like that, like I wouldn't change the position of Gondolin, for example, and therefore I wouldn't, magic an orc army into Nandon Gortheb, where they were never really known to abide. Nothing was known to abide there because they were eaten. Yeah, that would be a hard one for me to justify. I think the closest we could get is to, like, Glaurung around the time of the sack of Nargothrond. That could maybe be stretched, and I got, like, gears turning in my head a little bit about some possible implementations of that. So I actually do kind of, I don't know, I like it as an idea. I'm warming up to it. So maybe we'll get a 3rd Orcish faction and round it up to a nice 14. Who knows? We'll see. I'll pitch it to the other developers and we'll see what we come up with, I guess. And what, if anyone would be interested in working on models and things like that. One more person left. Come on, Melkon, let's do this. And there we go, and we're off. Okay, so this is the Huron's Homestead map. It was made by Steward of Dale, one of our mod helpers, who has been a huge part of this patch coming together the way that it has. And I'm not really familiar with it at all, so I may have brought the totally wrong type of army in order to fight in this area. Some close-up shots of the Philothrim elves. This is from the Brathambar tier. Look a little bit like Astrocat, it's been pointed out to me, and I really can't unsee it now. And now I suppose neither can you. Okay, so we're going to be out on the wing, and so we'll be facing off against Angband. It might be hard for us. Maybe we want to kind of fall back into this area and form like a defensive barrier, I suppose. That's something that the Philothrim do very, very well on the wing of Nargothrond and help defend their flank. Because from the front, they might end up, because of the way the deployment zones are here, it's a little bit wonky, they might end up facing two armies at once. So I think that's going to be the play here. Batten down the hatches and run to our ally. Now, normally, what a lot of people do is put their Round Kier Limb with the Nobles of Balar, and then you've got this like center line that's just indestructible. But I personally want to try something different, because I don't think there's much point in having a really strong center if your wings melt away. So I want to spread out the killing power and the quality of my army. So instead, we're going to put some Warriors of Aglarest in here. Combine them together like that. Let's see here. So these guys will be our center line. And our ally is actually going to be kind of out there on the wing. So the Yoda guy will have to come to our rescue. And it will be up to Melkon and I to hold down the fort. Run Cure Limb. We'll head back here for a moment. A pretty decent place for our archers to be. No, don't want to do that. I'll give away our position. And these lads, we can hide in the back here. Another one can be held in reserve here. Seafarers will also hold in reserve. One unit of our Ron Kier Limb can be front and center here. Well, actually, let me have some of these guys up here. Defend them. The Ron Kier Limb can remain safe behind here. Okay, let's move up. Change our strategy a bit here, based on where our ally is hanging out. Okay, we'll figure that out in a second. Let's take our Rangers. We'll stick them here, because we're going to form up right there. So we'll have a Ronkier over here as kind of crisis troops. Perfect. Marinez Rendil will chill in the center, help keep that stable. Ronkier can form up on this side, along with some seafarers in the rear. And we'll also have some of these guys to hang out here on the wing. Marines of Eglarest, one of them can remain right here as sort of bait. And we'll have some overlapping fields there. We'll have one of these guys in the center, 2 spear hosts to hang out here. Another Marine of Eglarest to be over here and act as a reserve. And we'll have some reserves over this way. I think that'll do. Sort of well entrenched there. Where did I put you two? Alright, we'll have you kind of in the back here. One of you can be here. The other can be here. Maybe we'll have 2 seafarers over on this side. That'll do. Our wing is I think well staffed. Let's do it. A comparatively small elven host facing off against a very nasty combination here. So we have Doriath. We've got the Easterlings under Steward, who probably would lose to Fingolfin in a straight fight. And we got Angband, and I know exactly what he's going to be playing here. So he's going to go with a full mid-tier army, which I probably should have thought about. I thought maybe he'd take some of the elephant units, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So I'll bring these guys actually backwards now. Have them move forward. Keep one unit of the Ronkier here. Another unit stationed over on this side. And we'll also bring these reserves a little bit closer in. So I'm not seeing any cavalry, so that's good. Can even bring these guys out here. That's probably a better idea, actually. I'll bring them back. Ronkier can go to here as crisis troops. There we go. We'll get ready to receive this. Just do a few little micro adjustments here. Steward of Dale moving forward with some of his multitude of skirmish cavalry. The Eastern Horsemen actually went up from 2 to 3 cap, as they are quite fragile. But the Arquini Findicano probably shouldn't be using their ammunition on these guys, but I guess there's only so many things they can shoot at. Actually, the Salamander Guard would be a way better target, so hopefully Yoda goes for them. We'll prepare to meet this Angband onslaught. And what's he got sent coming our way? A lot of halberds. That is fine. We have them there. Yeah, we've got our Marines in a position where we can be very, very painful to halberdiers. It's got a few crossbows, but that's what our Rangers are for. Happily move my Rangers forward, and in fact I probably should. Move them just a little bit forward. Move the wrong unit. legionaries. These guys backwards slightly. You know, I'll even move my rangers up here. Yeah, he wants to try and miss my phalanx. And he wants to pull me out of position here and allow Doriath to move forward and be a problem. Which is why we didn't put all of our eggs into one basket this time. Moment, reposition these archers. And what I want to do is weaken this part of the line. So we'll get those halberdiers as they move forward. We'll get the other halberdiers here as well. Bring forth the Iran Kiralim. Mobilize some more reserves. Get ready to meet this. And weaken it as much as possible. Switch our focus here a little bit. Spread out our missile fire. Go after one of those legendary companies from Doriath. They're going to go after the pikes. That's understandable. Well, that counterfire there will at least make them pay for it with that unit. We're not just going to sit here and take it. We're going to get these guys into the fray. And we're here with these guys. That phalanx should be able to win that pretty handily. A little bit of a micro lapse here on my end. How are we doing over here? So far, doing all right. Reserves are needed, so the Around Carolim are coming in this way. They're starting to break through a little bit. Doing okay there. And more troops, I think, are needed over on here to kind of plug this gap. What we gotta do here is hold out for as long as possible. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of support there from our allies, which is good. Have these guys go over here and attack the shield bearers while they are vulnerable. And these guys should go over here as well, I think. How are they doing against the Easterlings? Seem to be struggling. This could be a tough fight for us. I'm not convinced that this is one we're going to win. 19-19, though. It is still pretty even. Around Carolim still in relatively good health. Throw the Macemen in there. Now we're basically fully committed here. It says that we're losing here, but I'm not too sure about that. Our troops are doing very well. It's really over here where the hammer stroke has fallen the hardest. Get these guys in. Stabilize them a little bit. At the very least, Dordiath is kind of coming up against some heavy resistance. Uh-oh. Yeah, Melkon kind of throwing away his units here. And this is where the Bulldogs are, so this is where we need to throw the remainder of our troops. Where are my Around Carolim located? Oh no, that's really bad.
Our chances of victory with it.
That's really, really bad. Hopefully they'll stabilize in a little while. Salamander's in behind my army. That could be a killer blow. A little bit of routing here, but that's mostly foresters who have been in some really heavy fighting. And he's starting to run low on his halberdier units in particular. Just gotta keep holding the line. just scattered those Marines of Vinyamar like leaves before the wind. That's bad news. X-Guard here, running into the front of Pikes. Now it says that they're winning, but I wouldn't expect them to win that fight. The Pikes will grind them down over time, and that as balance assessment will change essentially. Hemorrhaging a small line here of foresters. I've managed to thin them out in certain places. But our morale, despite the loss of our general, our morale buffing is what's keeping us together here.
Only half the enemy force remains.
Oh no, I hope he sees it. He's not. This is going to be very, very bad for the Sons of Húrin to take that on the chin. That's armor piercing. Yep, that's a big lapse there on the part of the Yoda guy. I don't know if he'll be able to pull this off. I don't think so, though. Steward's starting to break up his line in places. Cavalry through. And the longer this goes on, the better off we are going to be. As you can already see that we're starting to swing it back here. As they've lost a good deal of their numbers, and their fatigue is what's really hurting them. And thank goodness we've got some support here from our allies. Small unit of Salamandrine Guard. We are actually beating this army here, strangely enough.
Good tidings. The enemy general lies dead.
Not too sure whose general that was, but hopefully Artorias's. Yes, it was. So we could see this Angband army here start to fall away. And if that happens, then there's a possibility that we can turn this around, but it's just a matter of time, right? Now, there's a lot of cavalry breaking through here. I think they're going to try to focus on Fingolfin for the time being, so that might be important for us. It might give us a little bit of time. Have these, actually we'll take these guys and we'll throw them over here, see if we can finish off these arbalists. We are starting to break through here and stop them, and 44 warriors of Eglaris should be enough to silence these arbalists, or 41 now I suppose. Especially if they get off of a charge against an awkward formation like that.
Only half the enemy force remains.
Seafarers here are really having a hard time against that spear guard. Yeah, our line is in danger of being rolled up. Go. They've at least broken them. Let's see if we can't break these wretches here and cause a mass rout. That's going to be what saves us. Still pretty close, but they are pulling ahead. Yeah, I think this is going to be a defeat for us. See if we can get these guys out of there. Maybe get a nice little charge here against these guardians. Even this out with this fight here out. A little bit of a bug here where our troops are facing the wrong direction, which is bad news bears. Yeah, unfortunately, Yoda guy was not able to keep the wolves from the gate, and they managed to get in behind us. And now I think this is a game over here. Be able to keep our allies safe there while they mop up some of these Doriath troops. The Silmarillion maps look sharper than Reforged. We use different textures. We use different vegetation as well.
Something changes in the course of battle, for defeat seems almost certain.
I think that's it for my army, so let's go ahead and admit defeat. I'm not too sure what happened with Melkon. I think maybe some more archers were needed or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the replay there. But I would have expected that Fingolfin would have taken that fight, so I imagine there's probably some assistance there from Angband and some other stuff.
Our men have fought long and are becoming tired. Our allies have fled the field like cowards.
I think that's basically game over. So, good game to the other team.
Our ally lies dead. Without their general, they may lose heart and flee.
Sad face. Sad day indeed. The Noldor, Hithlum, and their allies were defeated. Try and wrap this one up hopefully pretty quickly here, as I do have to go for the day. I feel like the best counter to Angband is Fingolfin or Feanor. I don't know. I think my Falas build probably would have beaten Artorias, as we were doing very, very well. The big problem was that my main, my scary units here, my polearms that could have countered his, were in a fight with Doriath for most of that game. And the places that they were actually engaged with Angband, they made a hill of corpses. So I had some of my best units that were unfortunately tied down. But I think we would have beaten him.
Our enemies may have won this battle.
Also, losing our general was a little bit unfortunate for us as well. Made us very, very fragile. But if you look at Angband, there's not really a ton left. He's got some spear guard and things that aren't super killy. But most of his halberds, most of his important units were dead. So I don't know. I feel like we could have beaten that. Look at our kills here. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Seafarers getting many hundreds of kills. Yeah, if you look at the way that our kill ratio breaks down, we actually did very well. I think we probably could have snowballed that army to death. especially now that since we had like stuff behind him, but because there was like Doriath troops in the way, we weren't able to like roll up his line in the same way he was able to do it to us, because he had no one contesting them on his side but us. So that's, I think, was the big issue there. Let's save that. Actually, nah, why bother? It wasn't really that close to the game. My Aaron Kier were tied up on several units the entire game. They were mostly there to kill their way through a lot of his halberds and some of his like heavier orcish units, and they did fine. They were actually engaged in 2 different places, so I'm not sure what you mean there, Connor. My army was well suited for fighting Angband, hence all the armor piercing and the jabbies and all that other nasty stuff. The big problem with my comp, I think, was the foresters, as I was expecting some more monsters and things to break my line, and I'd have the foresters in reserve and I could just throw them at them. But despite that, we did just fine. And that is going to be it for me for today, I think. Really good games to my opponents and my teammates. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little preview into the newly released patch, The Fall of Feanor for Silmarillion Total War. And I hope that you guys will join us in the future when it comes to the RP and just random battles, as you can now, reliably, hopefully, host a Silmarillion game, post it in our Discord, and be like, hey, I want to play, and you should be able to find something fairly easily. But in any case, my name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. Before I sign off for today, I want to give a big thank you to the community and to the team for who made this patch possible. Would absolutely not be the, in my opinion, very well balanced, very well conceived mod with the attention to detail that it has without our developers and without our testers who put in countless hours over the last 7 months in order to make this experience come to you in the state that it is today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to link you to our official Discord, as we do have a roleplay campaign going on. It's a little bit like Risk, but you play out your battles in Silmarillion, quite naturally. And it's also just a good idea to be on our Discord in general. And I'm also going to put a link to our ModDB down in the chat here. So you can pop on over there, get yourself the files that you need, and then come and join the rest of us on our community Discord. Let me see here. ModDB. All right. In any case, my